All right. I've taken 2,000 plus consults with business owners, and I've seen all the offers that there are out there in the world, whether it's IT, whether it's marketing, whether it's video editing, whether it's consulting. I've seen it all. And the number one issue that I find with businesses who cannot scale, who cannot make revenue, who are not selling new customers daily, weekly, monthly, booking calls, getting leads, etc., it comes down to the offer. Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I find to be the 3 mistakes that most people make with their offer, how to fix it, what to do instead, and allow you to ponder, as I ponder here, as I do quite often, about what does it take in today's marketplace to have an offer that sells. It's likely that if it's been hard for you to make sales, it's likely because you're trying to still find out the offer market fit. So there are 3 things. All right. Just before I get into that, just be aware I'm the founder of Adstra. We book thousands, tens of thousands of sales calls monthly for clients and ourselves. We do a pretty dang good job. We use a bunch of AI and paid advertising to drive appointments and drive customers. A lot of what we do comes down to the offer, comes down to what it is we're talking about, what it is that we're going to sell on the call or give to somebody, how to communicate that value proposition. And so today's video, I'm going to be going over the 3 things, okay, the 3 most important things as it relates to your offer and the 3 mistakes that I find that most people make. The first one is, first of all, selling what people want. Sounds obvious, but not so obvious if you've encountered issues, okay, which most folks do. Number 2 is pricing, okay, so the value in which that you provide against the price that you're asking for. And then number 3, I'll go into a little bit of building value and also positioning it well in a marketplace, depending on how crowded it is. But that position comes with guarantees, rationale, etc. But what I'll be doing is I'll be going over one of our blogs. I write a weekly blog. If you want to check it out, and you can find it in the description. But I write a bunch of stuff all the time, and I always take a stance every week on what I'm learning. So I try to back what I say, not by theory, but by what I do, what I see, and what I observe in my day-to-day activities. As what we do at Adstra, work with a bunch of companies. I do a lot of consults. We have 3 sales folks. We book about 150 qualified leads monthly, qualified book meetings monthly. So safe to say I know what I'm talking about. But number 1 with the offer, let's jump right into it. So with the offer, it's always important to first realize, okay, what do my people want? What are they looking for? Anything outside health, wealth, and relationships, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Now, you can tie any B2B software, for example, back to wealth, right? They're either saving money, they're making money, their team is more productive, but all that is downstream from making or saving money or reducing risk, right? Associated with those 2, which have a dollar amount on them. You can sell various things. You can sell insurance, you can sell products, you can sell services, you can sell widgets, right? There's a lot of different things that you can sell, whether it be packaged, whether it be online delivered, whether it be a service provider, whether it be through some sort of recurring subscription, what have you. There's a lot of different things you could sell. You could even sell media space, right? You could, like I said, insurance, which is risk, right? But if we get to brass tacks here, what it is, do your prospects really want? And it sounds crazy, but it's true, okay? You may be selling an orange, but they just want the orange peel. Right? So you might have all these things, all these doodads, all these doohickeys tied to your thing, and you might be talking all about that. But one thing is the reason why people buy. And if you were to say that one thing over and over in any marketing, this could be paid ads, this can be content, this can be whatever. If you say that one thing over and over in different ways, that's going to make the most impression, and it's going to make the most amount of results for you, right? So value is in the eyes of the person seeing it, not you. Right? So let me be clear. Most folks build companies because they're selling something that they want or they would have bought. Possibly. If you're not, then you should want to buy your thing, right? But keep in mind, it's got to be what they are actually starving for. So the best way that I do this is I love to go into Reddit. I have a research document that is in the training, actually, that we sell for $27. It is an upsell. You can get it. It's called the Sherlock Holmes Research Strategy. That's in the link in the description below if you want to get the training program. But essentially, in essence, I've written blogs on this as well, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But the research is all about what they feel, what they care about. It's not really about demographics. Of course, you need to know if the TAM is large enough, if it's growing. But if you go into Amazon book reviews, if you go into YouTube comments, if you go into competitor reviews, if you go into Reddit, if you go into Quora and you search these places for your person, you will get a wealth of information. I'll throw up some stuff here now. I'll have my editor throw up some stuff here that you can see to be able to help you kind of look at what I'm talking about here. Whether you're selling a service for women, you're selling something in yoga, you're doing some sort of tech, you have some sort of tech software. If you have a particular person, niche, area, environment in which you market yourself and you sell, right? Those people want things. And it's likely that the thing you have does help them with some of the things that they want, but is it the thing that they really want? What is it? And the best way to do that is, like I said, to go through all these platforms, scrub all this research, and find commonalities and find frequency of what they're saying. So if it's topic number one, which is, let's say, for example, you have a customer service support AI agent. Okay. And the number one thing is that my team's email response time is 8 hours. You could say, get your team's email response time to 5 seconds. Right? Or you don't pay. It's just like, we'll train an AI bot to take care of all your support, right? File refunds, do all this stuff. AI is specifically very good at edge cases or missing information. So in fact, support agents is what we found to be the best kind of AI function and AI use case so far. But what I'm saying is, right, is that if that is what you're seeing on Reddit, where it's like my email response time, you see that over and over, and it's a high frequency, it's likely that's what you should talk about. Okay. So along with this, you can develop a feature and benefit list, right? On the left side, you can have features. On the right, you can have benefits. The end result for the buyer is what you want to focus on. It's what you want to be talking about. All right. So when you find that benefit and then you test those for in content or what have you, you'll notice the difference, right? So it's not like you'll know what they actually want out the get-go, but if you talk about it enough, if you share it with enough people, if you survey enough of your customers, they're going to point to one thing, and there's going to be a commonality, and there's going to be data that points back to one thing. And that one thing is all you ever talk about. For Adstra, just to give you perspective, what we help folks do is we can get them booked meetings without having them do any cold outreach or prospecting, right? We use paid advertising and AI system to be able to do that. But that's the thing, is that no cold outreach. So that's a benefit, and that's a thing that I knew all along. But the thing is, though, is that I never really realized that it was the number one thing, right? So it's all we ever talk about now, right? So moving on. So now we're moving on to crafting your offer, pricing it correctly. Now, what I find usually is people believe, generally speaking, that if it's cheaper, more people will buy. Okay, so that works in economics class with supply and demand, and it generally works in the real world, but it's not a good way of looking at your small business, your business, wherever you may be. The reason being is because inflation. Okay, so you have to raise prices to maintain equilibrium. So it's likely that you're actually below the equilibrium, meaning that you can charge higher, get less customers, but the less customers make you way more in revenue. That's number one. Finding equilibrium, you need to test it. So if you haven't tested your price, you should test your price. For folks specifically who are just starting out, I want to speak to that too, because for them, if you're just starting out something, you're never going to know price. Do it for free. Ask the person once you do the thing for free and say, hey, how much would you pay for that? And then say, okay, what would you need from me, or what would you need from the service or the product for it to be 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000? You can ask them that. And you ask 10 people that, do it for free for 10 times. You ask 10 people. After that, you can ask them, hey, would you want to buy it at that price? Right? But you should always be looking to increase your prices to a point, getting data on that, asking your customers what it's worth to you, and try to get to that point where you're selling at a 30 to 40% clip still, maybe 20, 25, depending on your product, and you're charging the most you can. It's probably a red flag if you bump your price again and your close rates go to 10%. But then again, that may be worth it That may be worth it. You may be making more at a 10% close rate with that higher price than you were at the smaller price at 20. So really, it's just very important that once you build the value of what your thing has and you can articulate that really well, you'll get a high amount of people that come in, right? And a lot of people will resonate with that vernacular. And then from there, you can noodle around with the price. So it's always good to test prices. It's always good to increase your prices. Just inevitably over time, you should be increasing your prices if you're in business for a long time. If you haven't, this is your call to test it. Okay. On that note as well, I want to mention a few things about price that most people don't really think about. If you have a service where their client is involved somehow, whether it's consulting or done with you, done for you, what have you, client's involved a little bit. If that client pays more, they will be more involved. They will see more value in your offer than if they paid a less amount. Same offer, no difference in what you do. Okay. So I always talk about this study, but if you don't already know, there's a study done of 3 different wines. And the first one was like cheap one and it had like $1 sign on it. The second one had 2. The third one had 3. So it was supposed to show cheap, expensive, average. Okay. And a bunch of participants tried all the wines and they all said pretty much conclusively that the most expensive one was the best wine. Come to find out, they were all the same wine. So just by having a higher price tag, you are therefore, more valuable. You have a more valuable offer. So that psychology is really important because if you don't charge, your value of your offer will inevitably still be low. Don't charge high enough. It will still be low. Irrespective of what you do, how incredible you are, your story, anything. Okay. So this is especially true if you have a lot of volume. Okay. You might be a person that has a lot of volume and can't take a lot of calls that aren't growing. Increase your prices. Very simple. Okay. A lot of what I tell folks in these calls is you should be spending more on marketing and you should be charging more for your offer. So that's just like, if you want to skip all the hullabaloo and, whatever, charge more. Okay. So how you can also charge more, some things here on positioning. Okay. So if you think about what your client wants, you think about what your prospect wants, right? You position that as that. Okay, so a lot of our marketing, if you take a look, you can also see there's a free report down below on how to book 100+ calls. You can download that for free. You can take a look, 71-page document. I think it's pretty damn good. In there, you'll see that the page is how to get what you want, which is all my customers and all my prospects want more booked calls, more qualified booked calls, therefore more customers. Okay, so no doubt that's the thing that they want. The fear of getting there is high cost, uncertainty, risk, right? So not knowing if it will actually get you the calls. That's like number one, right? And so that's why we have a guarantee with our thing, right? So we remove risk, remove that pain. And then the third thing is what obstacles. So the obstacles usually is cold outreach or rising lead costs or relying on referrals and events and stuff. So if you look at that page, that free report page, it's literally the headline: how to get 100+ calls guaranteed without cold outreach, high lead cost, whatever. So that's all of our ads. That's all my content. That's everything that I'm talking about here. And I'd like to kind of move off into certain areas of this as well, because of course, in order to book calls, you need to have a good offer. There's a wealth of stuff below the iceberg here that relate back to booking more calls. And in fact, a good offer is one of them. So that's what you want to keep in mind in terms of positioning. You want to wrap these things up together in a nice bow and present it in the least amount of words possible. Okay. And I want to specifically talk more so about, okay, so positioning, right? That's how you position, but with a guarantee. Okay. So I believe that all businesses should have a guarantee of some sort. It should be front facing. It should be obvious, and it should be clear. Okay. Guarantee, just a well-crafted guarantee is a really great way to grow your business, right? And it's also a really great way to continue keeping your value. Okay. So if you have a business, right, and you have customers and you don't give your customers their money back for something that they didn't want or did not like, or they did not get the value in it, or what have you, right? If they're applicable, you could say, then they should get their money back. But if you don't, then you have prisoners, you don't have customers. Okay. So guarantee is already kind of embedded in business, because I don't buy shoes on Amazon and think, if I don't like them, I got to keep them. No, of course not. right? And so most things, of course, you have to have your limitations, you have to have your conditions, right? But if you can wrap your guarantee up in something that is really effective as it relates to making sure the customer knows that the risk is on us as the business, not them, you can absolutely demolish your competition. With the guarantee, understand that it is applicable to certain businesses in different ways. What I mean by that is, for a junk removal company, we did research for them. We created an offer, and we had two different types of guarantees that we used both. But what we found on Reddit and Quora and doing research is that people are afraid that the junk people are going to ruin their house, like nick things or steal stuff, number one. Number two is people are also afraid that what they get quoted will change once the job is done. So they think that they're afraid because most people, they get quoted and then they have to pay more. And that's a lot of the negative reviews that we found on 1-800-JUNK and all these other places, right? So that's really specific. So what we did, we were like, hey, okay, right? Let's make the guarantee of what we quote you is what you pay 100% of the time. No BS. What you get quoted, what you paid. Boom. Number one, guarantee. If it's not, then you don't pay. Okay. Number two is, or I mean, I guess you just wouldn't pay the second quote. Okay. And then the number two is, if we nick anything, or if we steal anything, or if we do if we mess with the integrity of your home or the place that we're moving things or removing things, then you get it for free. No questions asked. So with those two things, it's like, what's the risk? If I want to get shit removed, I'm like, okay, come on, come help, please. What's the price? And I think it'll be great. And I think that would be interesting enough for me to at least reach out. If I came across an ad, or if I came across something online about junk removal and I wanted it, that would resonate with me if I'm the prospect. Okay. So understand that you can have that, and you might be afraid of, well, what if my team does break something? What if my team does whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or what if we do quote something, but it ends up being a lot more fair? You can have conditions. So you can have the conditions of, hey, when we quote you, we must know every piece of what we're doing. If something is added on the end of it, then the quote may increase. So you can have conditions around that. Obviously, make sure the customer is aware of the conditions, right? So it's clear, but let them know that, hey, listen, like some folks, some businesses have just 100% unconditional, no questions asked guarantee, which is obviously the best. The more powerful the guarantee, the more powerful the movement from your customers will be. However, you don't want it to be outside your locus of control. Now, another thing that I discovered in business about offer, it's good to control your whole offer. I had a buddy selling solar, and when you're selling solar, you don't have control over the solar installation. Okay. And that therefore becomes a problem, because they might cancel, they might be mad at them, and then therefore they're mad at you because you sold it to them. Right. And so this is specifically to companies that are set up, I think, really well and properly, which is you control your delivery, which I think is very important. So that's really it on offers, right? To recap the videos, number one is sell what people want, do your research, do your due diligence, find through that, look through the description if you want to look at a blog that I have written specifically on how to do research, okay? You want to do it yourself, you want to do the research yourself, you can also go through our training program. It is an upsell in that funnel, so you can grab it down below. It's $27 to get into that funnel. Number two is pricing. Always good to charge more. If you haven't already, test your price. And then number three, positioning with the guarantee. Okay, so wrap everything that you found with the positioning of what you have, which is desire, fear, obstacle. Okay, put those in together, and that's your message. That's what you talk about. That's what you write content about. That's what you put ads out for. That's what your landing pages say. It's what everything says. Tie it back to what they want, what you found. Okay. And if you can, create a guarantee. It'll make you more money. You'll have happier customers. You can charge more with the guarantee. You can have a split program where one's a guarantee, one's not. And the one that with a guarantee is more expensive. So you just inevitably make more money. All great things. So keep coming back here if you want to find out ways to make more money with your business. Like I said, I'm Jake. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.